So you want to hear a zombie story, huh? Sorry, I've been playing some Borderlands and that just kind of popped in my head there. The zombies are coming. Yeah, we're going with that, why not? Yes, we'll be talking about the three 28 Days Later movies. Saying 28 movies would be weird for obvious reasons, so we'll just say the first movie to describe them all, 28 Days Later. So why am I doing these movies, you may ask? I absolutely adore most zombie media. It's like my guilty pleasure and has been since I was an actual toddler. And I really want to do a zombie movie or just media I liked. So why not do one of the most iconic ones? For context, I watched these movies as a kid and remember them quite fondly. With the newest installment of the trilogy, the new trilogy of 28 Days Later, I decided to rewatch the first two and talk about this newest one in that exact order. This one's the first of 5 confirmed of this now, well, the first of 5 of this now franchise. This one's older than a lot of you guys, probably, and if it's not, then you're probably missing how simple life was back then. For this one, we have the director Danny Boyle and writer Alex Garland, yes. They are very big in the film industry in terms of prestigiousness. This one remains one of their most famous works, if not their most famous. Probably because the whole world was completely in love with zombie flicks, but let's ignore that and talk about the actual movie. Yeah, no introduction required. As the movie's title states, this movie doesn't show us the reaction of England when the virus breaks out, but shows us what happens 28 days later using what I think is what made the waking up from the coma trope so popular, I think. It could be absolutely misinformation. At least I know that The Walking Dead kind of ripped this one off. This movie certainly made zombies a lot scarier with them simply being infected by a rage virus, rather than slow-moving corpses, which granted, is also kind of scary since those usually can't die at all, even with the gunshot to the head gimmick. Okay, I'm getting distracted again. This movie has Cillian Murphy before he became a meme. I haven't seen Peaky Blinders, so tell me how that is. He's pretty great though. You can't escape that Irish accent here, which I'm totally fine with. He plays the part of a naive coma waking man. I worded that so well. And also the part of a angry Rambo. Well, so hey, he's always been a good actor. This is his first breakout role. The rest do their jobs really well, and it becomes almost authentic with how the quality of the movie is. It's got that old school 420p quality, and honestly, it makes the movie far more creepier with the rise, or has it already fallen? I don't know. But with analog horror around it, making this movie a whole lot better. And don't get me started on the rage virus. It's still one of the best representations of a zombie. It's still one of the best representations of a zombie virus, turning the human rage into a maximum, kind of like flipping the rage switch in everyone. That is so cool. Well, now it's just rage baiting, but it's such a cool concept in terms of zombies. The fact that it came from a monkey, or a chimpanzee, was also quite fascinating. It makes plenty of sense for a fictional zombie virus, the virus. The direction of the movie was also pretty interesting. A lot of the shots were extremely abstract and unique, some of them looking like straight up paintings at some point. Visually, it just straight up was a painting for one of the shots. So I thought that was really neat. I think the low quality meshing with the abstract shots meshed good. This is all my way of saying the direction of the movie is superb, but you all know that. This is like the least controversial zombie film ever made, besides maybe Shaun of the Dead. It most definitely raised a dead genre from the grave, but you also can't forget one of the more impactful elements of the movie, which is the minimalistic use of music, and when the music pops up, it hits. There are hints of the main theme all throughout the movies, which I think represents Jim, our main boy. There's so much impact in the main 28 Days Later theme, and the theme plays around the start of the movie the theme that plays around the start of the movie when Jim gets lost in an empty London, which, let's be honest, would not be possible now or even back then. Like, there's no dead bodies at all on the ground. There's nothing to be seen. No zombies listening to his screams. But we'll ignore that. All right, we'll ignore that. It looks cool. It looks really nice aesthetically, and thematically, it matters. Now onto the actual plot of the movie. Mr. Jim Murphy wakes up and roams around an empty London, which sets up for the best atmosphere for this horror movie. Nothing can beat this. Nothing. It's the perfect setup for this entire franchise. People fear solitude and the uncanny. Then the first zombie encounter that actually happens is absolutely terrifying. It happens in, I'm assuming, his local church, I forget, but it's supposed to be this comforting, safe space back then. Do what you will with that. Everything's controversial now. Everything. Topic. But that first spooky scene is perfect as well. The dead bodies on the ground and some zombies just straight up staring at him. Such a chilling scene to watch for the first time. And it still is. Every time you rewatch it, it's just like, wow, that's haunting. Then the infected priest starts banging on the door and starts chasing Jim Murphy. Jim smacks the hell out of him with his bag. I'm glad he's got survival instincts most of the time, except for that part where he's just screaming up the stairs. Okay, I'm trying not to recap, but Jim meets a bunch of other survivors in the movie, most of them being decent until he meets the military guy. His parents ended up drugging themselves and giving themselves a peaceful death, a better death than everyone else, which is the whole point of that scene. Then the scene after with one of the guys getting macheted to death by our main girl, Selena, highlighting that was the best way for anyone else to go, which was such an interesting dilemma there. That he should be grateful that his parents died peacefully, which honestly in that universe, yeah, completely understandable to just die by a pill. I'm not condoning it or anything, but I mean, in a zombie apocalypse, a lot of people would just, you know. The side characters are pretty cool. The characters here mostly feel natural, except for maybe Frank's daughter. Her stoicness made for some pretty funny scenes, so I'll let it slide. And Frank's death was so well done, being taken out by a single drop of blood too. And the music starting to play during his turn and him pushing his daughter away. Such a heart-wrenching scene to watch. I love it. I mean, I don't love it, but I do. Then we have a main antagonist towards the third act of the movie, the Ninth Doctor, the military leader guy. You know, this guy's bad news when he has a zombie around as a pet and his military boys do some stupid shit outside. Little hints before the news drops that he wants the women for something else, something more malicious. The military leader is such an interesting antagonist because in his head, he has the idea to continue on the human race and to reproduce, but it's more insidious than that. Extremely insidious with, you know, rape. It's a really grim, dark turn towards the end. I mean, from an apocalyptic scenario with literal monsters ravaging the streets to some very dark human conflict at the end of the movie with some darker implications. I mean, that's kind of what the whole subgenre is about, really. I mean, zombies. You really think it's just about flesh-eating monsters? I assure you every good zombie has some symbolism about society. I mean, zombie media. I assure you every good zombie media has some symbolism about society or some human individuality or whatever's trendy at the time. I mean, for now, it would be brain rot and media consumption or mob mentality. There you go, new zombie idea. I don't know. Actually, one of my favorite zombie movies ever is Train to Busan, and I don't think that it's about zombies having any deeper meaning. Maybe, could be wrong. Go watch it and come back to me on that. Yeah. But the very end of the movie is more of just a reflection of our darker selves when things go south in just a month too. I mean, I think that part's kind of unrealistic, but maybe not. I feel like a lot of people will just go to the deep end of just evilness in just a week. So you never know, really, what people's pushing points are. The zombies themselves are rarely used in this movie. There's a lot of suspense and build up in that. For whenever they do appear, it's scary as hell and actually tense. You actually do feel like anyone could die at any moment in this movie. Like that tunnel scene. Pretty sure that was what inspired Left 4 Dead and a Resident Evil 6 scene underground. How specific. Alright, back to the ending. The zombies are just used really scarcely, and whenever they do appear, it's creepy and I love it. It was really poignant on the whole people killing people message, looping around the little bit on the nose rage virus, but that's fine. People are dumb and so am I. So we should not be too surprised that Mr. Jim Murphy just takes a 180 on these guys and practically gets more kills than the zombies in his film. I do appreciate how quickly he adapted to the virus and the apocalypse. From being a naive guy who needed to be saved, turn into a killing machine when the time needs him to be. Obviously, it's not painted as a heroic thing either. With the way he goes about doing it and the iconic haunting theme playing in the background, representing Jim's own rage, I understand what if humans were bad is overdone. I mean, yeah, but we are. Not all of us, but we totally are. Look at what we do to animals, let alone to each other. But this movie does it a little differently because Jim is still the good guy, using that same killing intent, that rage. So it inherently pleases everyone, and every act has its own tone and atmosphere, but it all ties together perfectly, but we'll leave it at that. And it's one of the few zombie movies with a pretty upbeat ending. The main character actually survives at the end, with the two women, because he's just kind of Cillian Murphy. There's honestly a lot to talk about when it comes to 28 Days Later, and it speaks with the amount of people who talk about this movie to this day, and the inspiration this movie gave to the rest of the zombie genre, and just horror overall. I love this movie a lot and watched it quite a bit as a child. Some childhood, right? And this movie brings such a unique vibe to it. I can't really imagine anyone actively disliking this movie besides the fact that it looks old, which can be used as a genuine complaint. But I personally love the retro look and how empty it feels. The silence, it scares me. I rate this movie a Danny Boyle Oscar out of 10. Oh, and East Hastings is my favorite track of the bunch. Just thought I'd let you non-eating brain people know. I just, also, if I sound really terrible today in this video, it's because I just came off having a fever, and it really, you can hear it. And I'm really self-conscious about it. I'm just like, oh god, I sound like, it's like I'm dying. But to make things easier on myself, I have some Left 4 Dead footage for you guys. Which, honestly, thank God for this movie for making Left 4 Dead, right? That's the best thing that came out of this franchise. just making the best zombie media I've ever seen coming out of it. 28 Days Later is great, but it made some really awesome games. Well, inspired some really awesome games. Now on to 28 Weeks Later. Okay, here comes the Americanized sequel of the smaller scale British zombie movie. I remember really liking this one a lot more as a kid because there were a lot more zombies, and I will give this movie that. It has a lot more zombies. I'm sorry, infected. I keep pissing off the one super zombie expert. Oh well, they're probably gone now. I'll start off with the positives first, because I do like this movie. I always have. It really is a decent zombie flick. You can sort of turn your mind off while watching. The zombie genre as a whole has a bunch of plot conveniences so the movie can happen, so I won't nitpick on that stuff either. But I will start off by saying the intro to this movie is superb, and I'm glad they kept that low quality greatness, minus the stellar directing, but that doesn't really matter here. There are some really creepy and nice looking scenes and sets in the movie during one of the breakouts, and back to the intro where the main dad starts running off into the field. That whole intro alone gets the highest of praises, probably because it's the only thing people remember from this movie. Or even when it comes to the series in general. Well, I think people remember the scene where Cillian Murphy walks out and into the empty streets of London. That's a really iconic scene. I think this whole scene beats every scene in this series in a zombie fun retrospect. And hey, it does have something to say when the dad leaves his wife and some kid, when that fight or flight instincts starts kicking in. Me personally, if I was the wife, I'd be super pissed off, but what do I know? I'm not a wife. The scene where he was running across the field with that main theme is beautiful. Only if they didn't reuse that theme over and over again. After that really cool cinematic opening, the movie takes a massive halt in atmosphere and tone. It's a flick, so it takes priority of that, and of the story, and not really the art house elements that the previous movie had. It's a lot raunchier and has the American military, as they did a lot back then. I mean, they even had Jeremy Hawkeye Reynolds. That seems kind of rude. I also love how one of our first impressions of Hawkeye is that he stalks people with his scope. I thought that was kind of silly. I can't deny that this movie is fun. It's a fun zombie movie. Very drastic change from the dark zombie movie and from the British military, huh? This kind of reminds me of Jurassic World with the two kids coming into Zombie Island, so that was kind of fun. Both monsters eat humans too. Excuse my Jurassic analogy, I've been watching those again too. These videos overlap, okay? We also have Knuckles in our movie. He's the bad military man. Actually, all these people are more stupid than they are evil. Then we have the actual story tying in with the intro of the movie, with the kid protags meeting the dad from the beginning. Yeah, this isn't a recap, what am I doing? It was just cool that the prologue and the main story are actually connected in this one. I feel like the mom being alive was interesting, and the fact that they made a carrier storyline out of that, showing the evolution of where to go in a zombie series, or where to go next in a zombie series, I guess. It's definitely more of a trope at this point, with The Last of Us and other zombie media I can't think of right now, but disregard that. It's cool here, and they do nothing with it. I mean, not really. She's just the reason the whole outbreak happens because of a zombified Romeo and Juliet remake happens here. The husband and wife kiss, then everyone dies. That was supposed to be a joke, but that actually does happen. The second outbreak hits the tower. It takes around 45 to 50 minutes for the second wave to start, and the action doesn't stop from there. It's extremely action-oriented, and you just get to watch people die one by one. Some of the kills in this movie are brilliant, like the helicopter blades killing a horde of zombies. Absolutely the highlight of the movie, which says a lot. Another highlight of the movie would be that scene with the sniper shooting the civilians and zombies, with also the 28 Days Later theme. Or The Turn of the Father, which also another song from 28 Days Later. Okay, this is getting kind of repetitive. Let's address the 28 Days Later theme in the room here. Completely misunderstanding the main theme and just reusing it 5 times, and the other themes too. In comparison, the last movie used it once. I have a big thing for theme songs being used at perfect moments or just being overused in general. They use this far too often for it to be impactful again, which sucks because it's a great theme. It might just be me. I have no idea who actually cares about this stuff or who this actually speaks out to, but it irks me. The general audience probably doesn't care. Little rant done, but it's just, I wish they just used main theme songs more scarcely, or like at least use it once a movie, right? Because a lot of movies just kind of just overuse it or they don't use it at all, so that kind of sucks. Actually, there was one artistic shot I thought was really cool. Napoleon just staring out into the burning city. The military blowing up everything makes sense to me too. Zombies are kind of mean. The kids carrying a possible cure was actually kind of cool, and if they do carry a possible cure, the ending of the movie is a lot darker than you think, with them, you know, getting beaten to death and ripped apart. That's brutal. Without them turning, yeah. At least with this one, if you get bitten once, you just turn right away. I mean, that kind of sucks. I don't know how much pain you feel. Maybe you feel pain as a zombie or as an infected the entire time. That's even worse, actually. We also have a zombie boss fight instead of a human one like the last movie. We have Dad Boss. He's the dad, but a zombie. You kind of have to suspend your disbelief for everything that happens with this character. That's the boss fight. He's the whole issue with the whole zombie apocalypse breaking out again, which doesn't make sense to how, you know, one zombie started off everything, I guess. But we'll just ignore that. It's kind of like the military at the end there, how they just got overran by one zombie. You just have to just suspend your disbelief, and hey, it happens. All right, people can be stupid. That's the biggest suspension of disbelief in all these movies. I think the main issue of this movie is that it rides off a really profound and really well made zombie movie. These two films are made for two entirely different audiences and types of people. Yeah, the same thing. And that's kind of interesting. Compared to the last movie, it has a lot to say. Well, I mean, compared to the last movie, it has a lot less to say. And is a super enjoyable zombie movie with a lot of convenient storytelling. But that's practically every zombie film I've ever come across, or even shows, especially shows. I don't think I have anything else to add to this movie. We get to revisit the first area for the remember this? Then we have zombies in Paris. The ending kind of reminds me of Left 4 Dead, with the survivors being rescued by a helicopter, then it crashing because they are carriers. Decent movie. Let's talk about the first third of the new trilogy. Yeah, no. 28 years later. Well, on brand with this movie, I ordered tickets to this a week prior to the hangout. I ended up having a bit of a fever and my joints stopped working on the journey to meet my friend Gabriel that day. Or rather, Gabriel, that French bastard. He's great, by the way, that brain rot king. And my other friend didn't bother to show up. I think he was, you know, it doesn't matter. Shaping up to be a great movie experience. Also on brand with the movie, I ended up getting my friend Gabriel sick. So it turns out I'm the asshole after all. I didn't really have to explain all that. I realized that now, but I just wanted to state that I had a fever while watching this and I felt absolutely terrible. Or rather, the comings of a fever. Okay, it was just terrible either way. You know, I felt like I was dying in the movie theater. I realized no coughs or anything, just straight up dying. And I should have just not went. I'm never ordering tickets ever again. So years after the apocalypse, the zombies have sort of quarantined into the island of Britain, like Jurassic Park. Sorry, so far they mentioned that they filmed this one and the next one back to back, which is honestly nice for a trilogy to do, a trilogy of movies to do. We don't have to actually wait 28 years for our next sequel. Looking at you, Batman Part 2. But benefit of the doubt, Matt Reeves worked on The Penguin show, All is Forgiven. So 28 years later, there's a very intriguing discourse around it. A lot of people either hate it or like it. I think people dislike it because the story takes a completely different turn than it was advertised. Or it really told a fine line between experimenting with things and being just utterly stupid. Or the baby zombie carrier. Baby zombie is probably it. Or even that odd ending being implemented, setting up for sequels with the Jimmy Savile guy. I don't know. I'm Canadian. I have no idea who he was before I watched this movie. So I ended up researching him. Apparently he's not a very good guy. I will say it. You have to put it very lightly. He's not a great guy. But there's a lot of criticism for those story elements and even all the editing of the movie being weird and choppy. But hold your horses. I don't agree with all of them. I'm a little disappointed by some decisions and hope the story went somewhere else, but this isn't my story to tell, and it really does go to some interesting places. The three-act structure for this movie is made very apparent by the clashing of tones, indicating those three separate acts. The first act starts off with the father and son duo going for a little hunt, and that was a short movie on its own. They come from this really interesting community of survivors, like Alexander from The Walking Dead, but way more insane and cultish. It was a very intense and eerie watch. It's safe to say this is the one that sticks out to a more general audience, the first act, mostly because there is more zombie stuff in general and horror stuff. Danny Boyle and Alex Garland are back at it again to do some weird shit with the zombie genre. The virus itself in this movie is also extremely different, a lot, well, more evolved, but yeah. Stepping away from the normal infected carriers and into pregnant zombies pumping out a baby carrier, or even different factions of zombies. It makes for a more interesting lore dive with the different types of mutations, that's for sure. Like the blob, the alpha, the Nakes, I don't know. It also doesn't completely ignore the events of 28 weeks later. They do end up mentioning it at the start and showing some clips of it, which was honestly kind of surprising. I'm pretty sure that was the only one they showed clips from the other movies, at least. The 28 weeks later scene where they start shooting the civilians. But they do for sure softly retcon it. I mean, it's been almost a decade, so I'll give them a break. I don't think Danny Boyle had anything to do with the weeks and wanted to do his own thing here, which I don't blame the two guys, for not going that direction. The direction and artsy elements of this movie are also completely different from the first movie. I mean, not completely, it's still really just art housey and, well, a lot more art housey and just weird. just really weird in general. There isn't really much that connects these three movies together in a directional way. I mean, it's a lot more philosophical than the first movie ever was, especially in that third act with the Temple of Skulls. Indiana Jones. I mean, there are literal kill cams in this movie, which was an interesting choice, certainly, but I'm so glad they didn't do it every single kill. That would have been obnoxious. It was like from time to time, especially in that beginning act. So it stops around after that. There's also those creepy shots in red building up the infected a lot more effectively. So when you get to them, it's like, oh, we saw them earlier, but they're creepy and red. That wasn't enough to prepare me to see Alpha's cock the entire movie. I mean, we didn't stray away from Jim's chicken in the first movie, so I wasn't really that surprised. We got to see way more zombies and also way more penises in the movie. They ramped up everything. There's also a handful of characters in this movie, like the first movie, with the Swedish soldier, Spike, Aaron Taylor's character, Jamie, Isla, his mom, or Aya, I don't know, and the doctor, acted out by Ralph Fiennes. I think I'm missing a character. At least the ones that matter. All of them play a big part of the movie. So that was nice. You know, all of them had a significant role, except for the soldier guy. He was just there for exposition. Jamie, Spike's dad, is definitely set up for the sequel, and so there's a lot more room for his character, so there isn't really much. We just saw like the downfall of his character, considering we only saw about a third of his arc. Anyway, I'll tell you guys how I feel about the individual arcs of the film. The first arc is obviously my favorite. I can't help but love the zombie thrill with all the different types of zombies. That's my favorite. That was a blast. Then I would put the third arc in second place as a more philosophical life and death message, Memento Mori, Dead by Daylight. I also love how trippy and insane it was. The doctor was a great character and just really well acted. The baby thing was also kind of interesting. I was interested in where they would take that. The baby just sort of lives and goes to the village and probably will die there. Then the second arc in third place because it's the second act, but it was nice to get to know these characters, mostly the son and the mother. The addition of the soldier felt necessary by the end, but it was kind of funny. And it also confirmed the audience suspicion that England is truly isolated and quarantined from the rest of the world. For newer audiences, like my friend, that helped. For context, he did not watch the first two movies before going on here. I just kind of invited him and he just got dragged along for the movie. I don't even think he knew what a 28 Days Later was before going into this. And hey, this movie actually got him to go back and to watch the previous ones, so good on this movie. To be good enough to make him watch the other ones. I know I'm saying this like it's an impressive feat, but it really is, trust me. I did really enjoy this movie in a film perspective, in a director's perspective, because I really do like the weird stuff, and if it wasn't for the rest of the movie giving total whiplashes throughout, I would have hated that ending. It was a very, very unexpected ending, and it really was silly. But I'll accept it as a teaser for the next one and see how that truly goes before I say anything about the ending and these characters. But first impressions are everything, and I am intrigued. My opinion on this movie as a whole remains the same until I see the next one myself. That being said, I completely understand both sides here. If it goes the direction I think they will take, it might be golden, and it'll raise my love for this movie. If not, well, you know. I do wonder how Cillian Murphy, or Cillian Murphy, I think I said his name wrong. I do wonder how Cillian Murphy is going to be integrated into the new trilogy, though. I rate this movie Life finds a way out of 10. I mean, I gotta stop doing dinosaur references. Here, I rate this movie an iodine out of 10. So here we have it. 3 movies that totally have nothing to do with each other. It reminds me of another trilogy, except that one was a billions of dollar company. This was I'll be coming back to this project because I have new ideas to bring decades later. Well, yes, that too, but that's too boring of an answer. But in terms of the evolution of the infected, I personally liked it a lot. I feel like the infected are the main characters for these movies. I'll be back to comment on the new trilogy, whether it does well or not, doesn't matter. But so far they haven't missed with these movies, and each of these movies provide an entirely new experience to offer, which is more than I could say for a lot of franchises. Whoever is interested in more of a in-depth talk of the new trilogy, see you whenever the third movie comes out. Or if you just want to watch me talk about things or any other franchise you want, give me a suggestion or subscribe, you know? Yeah, just stick around. Bye.